Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. We want to complete the remaining part of the shell redirection we started. And now here you're asked to write a script that detects all regular files, not the directory, with a .js extension that are present in the current directory and all the subdirectory. Now the first thing that comes to your mind is, how do you find .js extensions, all extensions? Now recall in our previous video we did something like let's say I want to list all files that ends with a .js extension. If it exists, I'm going to say ls the wildcard.js. That means list all files in this directory that has to do with what? .js extension. Now I don't have such a file, that's why it's not printing. And let me just list my file and see if I have something like that. Okay, I have .c file. So let's see how to print just or list content that has to do with .c files. Okay, so let's list wildcard.c. Now you can see that it's printing all the .c files for us. That's the first thing you need to know. Now the second thing there is you're asked to write a script that finds all JS extensions in the present directory. Now what comes to your mind here is that you need to use the find command. Now where do you want to find that file? I'm going to find the file in the present working directory. That's a dot value. Okay, so what type of file do you want to find? I can use the flag minus type. Check your man page, you're going to see all this. Then what type of file are you looking for? The F stands for files. All right, and then after you find the files, are you going to print all files? No. If I hit enter now, it's going to print every files, everything that has to do with file type in this directory. All right, let's see to that. I hit enter. Now it's printing everything that has to do with files, every relationship with files in my current working directory. You see, it's very bogus. Okay, let's clear the screen. That's not what you're looking for. Okay, we find in this current working directory, okay, the type file, then with the name type. All right, I'm gonna look for the name. What name am I looking for? I'm looking for *c, all files that has the extension of .c. I hit enter. Okay, now it's telling us that there should be an expression for your name type. All right, so let's redo that again, and then let there be an expression for my name type. So I'm gonna have this, my name type quoted. Okay, so I'm gonna quote it now .c, end of quote. All right, now you can see that it prints all files that has to do with what? The .c extensions. So that's how you find a particular file type in the present working directory and the sub working directory that resides in the present working directory. Okay, now if you look at this task again, you were asked to delete all the files that ends with the .js extension. Okay, so what you simply do is, after you find the files, you simply delete the files. If I hit enter, all these files of mine that has the .c extensions will be deleted. So I don't want to try that. I'm sure with this you can have an idea of how to solve your problem. Okay, that's that. Okay, the next one here talks about write a script that counts the number of directories and subdirectories in the current working directory. All right, now it's going to count. What comes to your mind is, what is the command to count? Remember when we're dealing with the word count wc, what is the command to count? That's the first thing you got to know. And then you are asked to find a particular thing, write a script that counts the number of directories and subdirectories. Now what comes to your mind is that, let me remove this before I mistakenly hit enter. First, I want to find in my current directory the type. Okay, what type am I looking for right now? You are asked to do what? Count directories and subdirectories, not files. So the D is appropriate flag to use with the type when you're working with directories alone. All right, So let's try to work on this first and see what happens. Okay, if I hit enter, it lists all the directories. Okay, it lists all the directories. Now I want to actually count, okay, the directories. Okay, so if I should say, I repeat that command. Now when you're done listing the directories, don't just write it out, but rather give it out to wc to count for me. I just want to know them in line, so I'm going to use -l flag, enter. You can see it's actually printing the number of directories that it's listing in this very present working directory. Okay, now you look at this again. The command says the current and the parent directory should not be taken into consideration. That's one. Hidden directories should not be counted. Okay, so there are some kind of flags you need to use also to ensure that all directories that are hidden will be exempted. So how will you do that? You can simply man find to check for other flags that can be used to exempt those directories from being counted. The 12th one here says create a script that displays the 10 newest files in the current directory. Okay, let me clear this. Okay, we are asked here to that was smart enough. If you are smart enough, you know what to do. All right, in this next one, you're asked to create a script that displays the 10 nearest files in the current directory. Now, what comes to your mind is the command list. All right, so we apply list to this very directory. It's gonna print everything, but it's not actually the newest file. All right, if you check your man list, if you read through it very carefully, you'll definitely see a flag which is -t that has to do with printing files based on time. Okay, so let me just quickly take time to go through that. So if I have ls and then -t, it's gonna print from my latest file. But now there is a problem. If you look at this question, you are asked to write a script that prints the newest files. Note files, not directory. Files. Okay. Now, let's see how to do that. Now, you can't actually use list to distinguish between files and directory in a directory. It's going to list everything as long as it's a content of that directory. But you can use find to exclude all the directories in the present directory. Now, how will you do that? You said find in my current directory. That's the dot there. But one more thing, if I should say find the type, all right, files, it's going to print with the sub directories that is present within my current directory. So we don't want that. We only want to list the file that is active, that is present in only the working directory, not subdirectories. So let me clear this. For you to apply that, you're going to say find in the current directory. The maximum depth you're going to find is 1. That 1 means in my current directory. Don't check other subdirectories. Okay, now what am I going to find? I'm going to find the type file. All right, now you can see that it's only printing the files. The directories are no more here, only the files. But we still have a problem. It is also printing the file path. The / means the file path. It's printing the path also, which we don't want that to happen. We only want to print only the files in the current directory and not the sub files, not the path rather. So how are we going to do that? You can say find dot minus max depth is 1 with the type file. Now when you find all these files, don't print the path. Instead use a format specifier. So I'm gonna say print f with a format specifier of only files. When you print the files, take it to a new line. Now enter. Sorry, it's supposed to be a minus print if it's a flag. Okay, let's repeat that again. And then we add a negative sign here. Enter. Okay, you can see that you have only the files being printed. But don't worry about the code there. Don't worry about that command, because in your own case, that directory will only contain files, because you're not expected to have directories inside. Remember, when you created your directory, the only thing that will be inside those directories are your answers, your files, your 0, 1, 2, 3 file names and all that. So it's not expecting to see any directory. Hence, you don't need to bother yourself in all these long code. Rather, your ls minus t will take care of that, since this prints from the latest based on time. And then you're asked to print just the first 10. Okay, the first 10. So remember that head takes care of that. So you just give this to head and then enter. It's gonna print the first 10. You can see this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's supposed to be what you would use and not the other code. I'm just trying to give you something different, just trying to make you versatile in commands, not having just one understanding. Okay, try to learn more commands outside what LX are giving. Just giving you guide. They're just giving you a kind of way to go, how to read, how to get to know the files, the commands. So try to apply other measures so you learn and have more knowledge in these commands, rather than only solving the problems that LX gives to you. All right, so let's see to the next one here. Create a script that takes a list of words as input and print only words that appear exactly once. Okay, that should take your mind back to unique. You remember that unique is actually used to check for words that are what? Repeated. So now, how would you apply that in this scenario? So now what comes to your mind is this. Now, we know that unique will remove adjacent duplicate lines of words, right? You can recall that from the former from the previous video. And then now you're asked to print only the words that are repeated. Okay, so now the first thing that you got to do is to ensure that your files first is sorted, because if it is not sorted, it is not going to check the files that are repeated in terms of files that are not adjacent to each other. Let's just work on that. Let me cut my letters that you're using before now. Okay, I have this here, I have this here, okay, and I have this is Engine Tech. So if I apply unique, if I apply unique to letters, now some files are still repeated, or some contents are still repeated. That's it. This is repeated because it is not sorted. So it's only saying the ones that are adjacent. That's when it can remove those lines. So first, you need to sort. After you sort the file, the letters, you now apply what? Unique to it. So hence, those files that were repeated has been deleted. But now the question is, we don't want to print these ones. We want to print those ones that are deleted. Those repeated words, those duplicate words, those duplicate lines of words is what we want to do, what? Print. And that calls for a flag. Let's look for a flag that will solve that problem. So you can simply man, of course, that's going to be in unique. So now after this, you try to look into these flags. Which of the flags am I going to use with unique, such that it's going to print only the duplicate lines for me, or the ones that are repeated? Because if you look at the question given, and if you look at the example here, going through here, you have the PHP is repeated, and then we have the JavaScript is repeated, and then we have Java here is repeated. All right. Then if you look at here, C, C++, Go are the ones printed. Okay. They are looking for files that are not repeated actually, because this is C is not repeated, R is not repeated. Okay, it's repeated. Go is not repeated. C++ is not repeated. The rest have repetitions. So they're looking for files or a flag that will print only values that are not duplicated, rather. So if you go through these flags carefully, you can see that the -u is the flag that only prints unique lines, that prints files that are not duplicated. That's what it means. Print unique lines that are not duplicated. Okay, so we can just quit this out here. Now let me clear my screen here, and then let's just sort first. Sort letters. Okay, after sorting letters, we can see here that this is engine tech is repeated, so that one will not be printed. Etc. is repeated, it will not be printed, and then this is repeated. So amongst these three values, the rest will be printed. So what you simply do is to sort letters. After you sort letters, you apply the unique with the -u flag. Okay, now you can see that this is engine tech and etc. is not printed because they're what? Duplicated. Now, if you want to print files or print lines that are only duplicated, those files that are duplicated, we use what? The -d flag. What I was trying to say the other time, I don't know, I made a mistake somewhere. Okay, what I was trying to say the other time, thinking that they want to print those files that are duplicated. So let's try to see if that works for us. We sort first the letters. After sorting letters, if unique, the work to do, and what will unique do? Print on the lines that were duplicated for me, -d, enter. Now you can see that etc. this and this is injected is printed because those lines were what? Duplicated. I'm sure you can work that out and then solve your problem. All right. Task 14 says display lines containing the pattern root from the etc/password directory. Okay. Now this reminds you of something, the commands we used earlier before now. Remember that in our command, let me clear the screen. Maybe in letters, I want to print files that has this inside. I want to print the lines, or let me say I want to print the lines that have the file that has this. I'm going to use the grep command. And the grep, what am I looking for? I'm looking for all files, all lines of files that has this inside. But note that grep takes the value. Let's say I take this value, this, in letters. Okay, now it prints everything that has to do with this for me. Can you see that? It prints everything that has to do with what? This. Every line that has the word this. So if you look at this question, we're asked to display lines containing the pattern root from this very directory. So what will you simply do? You put the root and then find the part that you want to print. That's all. Now count the words, display the number of lines that contains the pattern bin in this directory. Display the number of lines that has the pattern bin in this directory. I think that's pretty simple. First, you have to grep to capture all lines that has to do with bin. And then the next thing is to do what? To use your word count to print only the lines. You know, when you're using word count, you can print in lines, you can print the bytes or the number of lines, number of bytes. So you're gonna print number of bin. Let's just do an example here. Let me clear the screen. I want to count the lines that has this inside. I think that was 5 or thereabout. So what we'll simply do is first to grep this in letters. Then when I'm done with that, don't print the output, but print the count, the line count of that word, this. So I have 5. I think that was a bonus question for you. 16 here says display line containing the pattern root and 3 lines after them in the file etc/passwd. Okay, now that is still the work of grep. You just need to find out the file or the flag that will enable grep to print after finding out those number of lines that has to do with the content that was required, the root. Okay, so we can simply man root or man grep to find out the flag. All right, just try that. It's not something very difficult. I'm sure you can do it. Okay, the next one here, 17 says display all lines in the file, etc. / password that do not contain the pattern bin. Okay, now what that simply means is that you have to grep them. When you grep them, do not print those files that has to do with that pattern bin. So what comes to your mind is, first, you want to get the lines. Okay, you want to get the line that has that pattern bin. All right, just like now I want to get this file that has the pattern this. All right, but I don't want to print this very one. I don't want to print the line that has the this command or pattern, or rather I want to print other lines that do not have this. That's just an inverse proportion. So what are you going to do? You simply find your man again and then look for a command or a flag that can print in opposite direction. So going through this, we actually notice something here. The -v says invert match. Invert the sense of matching to select non-matching lines. Okay, now that has it has something to do with what you are looking for. So let's see if that actually works. Okay, now I want to grep -v this from letters, enter. Okay, now you can see that it prints every other value that does not has the pattern this. So I think that could give us a sense of the solution to the problem. Okay, the next one here says letters only. Display all lines of files starting with a letter. Okay, so let's say that in my letters, let me just add some numeric values or content inside. So if we list or cut letters, we will see the numeric value inside. Now we want to print all content that has to do with numeric values, but not alphabetical values. Now, when you were dealing with TR, remember that we used something like this, TR, and then we say A to Z, all right? So let's try to see if this pattern can be applied to grep so that it only takes the value that has to do with what alphabetical characters. So let's say grep grep values that has to do with A to Z, all right, in letters. Okay, that actually did not work. So let's see to the next one. Grep all values that has to do with A to Z in letters. Okay, that prints the values. It checks to see that all your values, all your content in letters has a letter beginning the sentence. So the numeric value that I created, the 1 and 2, has been what? Eradicated from the list. So that's how you can apply grep A to Z to actually print letters. So what if you want to extract only those that is capital letters? I'm sure you know what to do. So you can apply that in your task, and I'm sure you'll do justice to your work. Okay, replace all characters A and C from input to Z and E respectively. We worked on TR before now in the previous video, so I'm sure you can replace this without any problem. So let's move to the next task. Without C, you would live in Hiago. That's funny. Create a script that removes all letters C and C from input, so that you have Hiago. Okay, we had something like Chicago, and then you want to remove all letters that either small letter C or capital letter C, and then replace it with nothing. Okay, so how can we do that? Is that possible? Let's see. Let me create a file with the word Nigeria, echo Nigeria country. Okay, so I want to print this word. Let's say if I cut country, now the N will be removed, so we will now be left with Nigeria. So let's see how to do that. Now, what comes to our mind is that TR is the right command to apply, but TR always squeezes, replace a word with another word or character with another character. But this time around, they don't want to replace it. We just want to delete it off the list. So how are we going to do that? We can simply man tr to find out if there is a flag like that. Now, without even going further, we can see here that -d delete characters in the set and do not translate. All right. So let's quit and see how that works. Now, I want to remove -d. I want to remove the value of n, either small letter n or capital letter N, from letters. Oh, it's not letters, it's the country this time around. Sorry about that. From country, enter. Okay, it's looking for extra operand. I told you lately that you can't actually use tr directly like that, except you want to apply it in echo. So what you simply do is to say cat country, and then when you cut country, your tr should remove any value that is has to do with n or capital N. All right, so enter. You can see the n is removed. You now have Nigeria. Okay, Nigeria. Now, all this while we've been working on trying to see how it works in reality. When you're writing the code for LX, do not add this cat country. Just write this last part, tr-d, and then the content that was requested of you, because they will apply this in their cat to actually give them a meaningful output. So do not apply this cat country and anything that has to do with that. Just the tr and the rest, it's gonna be fine. Okay, and the next one here is write script that reverses its input. I think we've treated that in the last video, so it's simple. I'm not going to do that again. All right, so now we are done with the mandatory task. You can also apply the commands above there to walk yourself through with the optional task. And thank you for having me right here. See you in my next video. Bye for now. Bye-bye.